And we're going to go right behind you again, Congresswoman.
Okay.
And she's wearing such a lovely color of red.
Yes, beautiful Republican red.
Whose ass are we kicking today? I want to tell you, I want a lot of money. I want to give your donation because I called it in December that you were going to win the Iowa straw poll. So all my lost Democratic friends paid me a lot of money that night.
Oh, good.
But
Thank you.
I researched for 3 years. I endorse this lady. She is phenomenal. I say she is the answer in my book that's coming out October 11th. I beg you, as a victim of illegal immigrant, that we came all the way from Texas, that you take our governor down because he is not securing our borders. Those illegals are walking free and not being prosecuted. I've been a widow since '96, and I'm telling you, you understand illegal immigration, and I beg you from Texas that you fight, and you fight for us, because the illegal immigrants, you guys, are walking free. And he came in my house, and my Governor Perry, turned a blind eye, and I positively ID'd him. They're being taken from the court dockets. This woman understands illegal immigration. He is not doing it in our state, and I beg you, take that puppy down on the 11th. I beg you.
This is an issue that we can address, illegal immigration. I'm terribly sorry about your husband. You have the sympathy of everyone who's here today. It's a terrible thing. And I think that it's something that most Americans have just had it up to here with. I know in Minnesota we've had our own troubles with illegal immigration. I don't know if there's a state in the union that hasn't been impacted by this. There are not only the physical problems that you've had to deal with, but also the financial problems that this country's had to deal with. Go to heritage.org. Robert Rector has a great study that he has done to talk about the financial costs that are associated with illegal immigration. This is something where the federal government should be apologizing to the American people for failing to deal with this issue. And it's in both political parties. It's both Democrat and Republican administrations where they haven't done the right thing by the border. I will build a fence on every mile, on every yard, on every foot, on every inch of that southern border. And I will fully resource all of the border guards. And I will tell them, if you uphold the laws, I'll have your back. Rather than have the federal government go after our border agents for upholding the law, I'll have their back. And I'll tell you one thing I won't do. I won't sue the state of Arizona for trying to protect their own people. That won't happen either. So we need to make sure that our ICE agents know that now you will enforce the laws on the book. The laws on the book are good. That's not the problem. We have very good laws on the books. And we need to stop with the magnets for illegal aliens. No more taxpayer-financed benefits for illegal aliens. That has to stop. And our official language of the federal government must be in English. We are English-speaking language, and we need to be in English. We can deal with this problem. We've dealt with it before quite well. It was in the mid-'60s when things changed, and I will deal with this issue.
And right over here, Congresswoman.
Welcome to New Hampshire,
Thank you.
Congresswoman. One way to cut medical costs would be to do something with tort reform. I was just wondering what your thoughts would be towards that.
Well, I agree with you. We need to have medical malpractice reform and to have a cap on suits and on judgments. It's been out of control, and that has led to defensive medicine. There are whole communities that can't get obstetricians, for instance, because it doesn't pay for them to be in practice anymore. This is a very real issue, and it gets passed on to the rest of us. Costs are the big issue in healthcare, and that's what needs to be addressed. And that's why, under my plan, I want to repeal Obamacare. And then once we do that, I want to allow every American the privilege of being able to buy any insurance policy they want anywhere in America with no minimum mandates. Do you know that you can't do that now? There's a monopoly with insurance companies in every single country in America. And so I want to break that monopoly and let every American buy any policy they want. You want to talk about returning to a free market system? I love the free market. I'm a complete fan of the free market. And I want to make sure that people can buy any policy they want anywhere in America with no minimum mandates. Then I'd like to see people be able to set aside whatever amount of money they need to pay for their health care, because we all have different levels. Some people need to buy a lot of health care, some people very little. I want people to be able to set it aside tax-free and pay for your premium, your copay, your deductible, your medical devices, your pharmaceutical, whatever it is, pay for that with tax-free money, and then have true medical malpractice reform. That brings the costs down on health care. That's where we need to begin. And then we need to back the federal government out of that industry, because the federal government artificially increases the cost, and move people toward health savings accounts. That's what works. That's individual responsibility. That's what's become the part of the problem in this country. Too much dependency, not enough individual responsibility and personal responsibility. So we have to have a mindset change in the country as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next question's right in front of you. I'm sorry, I'm kneeling down. Hi.
Jeff?
The third rail of politics, which would be Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid, I think the other one is. How would you deal with this? You know, we're dealing with the great block of voters, of course, the Medicare age, and they're being frightened about this with Social Security. How do we deal with this?
Well, they don't need to be frightened, because the thing is, we need to look at this. It really is a math problem in a lot of ways, because we recognize if you have a business, would you keep running your business the same way that you did 45 years ago or 80 years ago? That's what we're doing with these programs. We're running them exactly the same way. They have to be modernized, they have to be updated. I think the most important thing that we have to do is let people know who are currently on Social Security, nothing's going to change. Absolutely nothing. We will keep your promise with you. But we also have a promise to keep with younger people. And so we need to reform and change the system for younger people. Medicare today is done on a fee-for-service program. Barack Obama has said that system doesn't work anymore. So this isn't even a Republican-Democrat issue anymore. The president has said that system doesn't work. The best system in my mind would be one that Mitch Daniels has talked about, and he's the governor of Indiana, former governor, and he has said that if we have a system of health savings accounts, that we would see real savings. And I think that we should examine those ideas. I think we should put them on the table, and I would be happy to lead that national debate, because again, this shouldn't be a negative. This should be a positive. I was in the White House earlier this summer, and we asked the president, Mr. President, what's your plan for saving Medicare? Rather than being afraid to talk about it, we should talk about it. Because that's how seniors will not be frightened, if we have positive solutions so that they know that we want to save the system. Because we know that within 9 years, the Medicare Hospital Trust Fund, Part B, will be dead flat broke. Okay, again, here's a big iceberg out there. You've got the ship going right toward that iceberg called broke. Now, do I really want to see a beautiful, frail, 85-year-old woman one day be told, I'm sorry, my dear, there's no more money left. You can't have your hip replacement. No. I love senior citizens. I care about them. My stepdad is 87 years old. The last thing in the world I want is for him to find out, sorry, the cupboard is bare. But it will be bare in less than 9 years. Do you realize how fast that is? Less than 9 years, it's dead flat broke. So we must, to me, this is a moral issue, an issue of morality. Do we love senior citizens or not? I do. I love them. It's a morality issue. I won't let them go without. So let's fix it. Fix it and not be afraid of it. On Social Security, that is definitely something we could look at. Now again, their population is far different than our population, but we can certainly look at what would work for our system. But again, people who are currently on, and that's number one, people who are currently on Social Security, nothing changes. It's for people moving up to that system, where I think we actually can do a far better system for younger people than what we have today.
Well, they get 6 times more in
return on investment.
Yeah, return on investment.
That's
and that's
right.
got to be brought out.
That's right.
Brought out in the debates. I've not heard.
That's right. And the other thing that a lot of people don't know when it comes to Social Security, people think that, let's say your name is Bob Smith, and people think that there's an account in Washington named Bob Smith. And all the money you've been sending over the years into Washington, you just have to go knock on the Social Security office and say, you know, I'd like to have my dividend that I paid in. And they say, what? And so when they go to open up that door for Social Security, the only thing that flies out are moths and feathers and IOUs. Because you know what they use that on? The politicians went in and took your FICA money, your Social Security money, and they blew it on big government welfare dependency programs. So it's gone. They've already spent your money. Now that's a travesty. Anywhere else, you'd be in jail for doing that. But the federal government has gotten away with it. You see, that has to end. And we no longer can spend at the level we are. That's why when I started today, I said the number one thing is spending. That's really the problem. It's too much spending. So we have to go with what works. And that's what works in your life. That's what works in your business. That's what works in your church. It's not spending more money than what you take in and living within a budget. What a concept. What a concept. But that's what I promise you I will do. I promise you. And again, that's what sets me apart. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I don't overpromise. I do what I say I'm going to do. This is going to take very serious, tough love. And I'm not interested in going to Washington so that I can be there for 2 terms. I could care less. I'm going there because I think that I feel the same way you do about this country. You absolutely love it. And you're like me. You see 235 years down the road to the next generation. Just like John Adams and the founders did 235 years ago. They saw us sitting here today. They saw us. And they paid an unmentionable price so that we could be here. Now the question is, will we pay the price of common sense and just stop spending away the future of America? Because I'm just here to tell you, it's going to come faster than anyone thinks, this day of reckoning. I don't mean to be melodramatic, I don't mean to overstate the case, but I don't think we can say it enough. It's going to come sooner than anyone thinks. And so let's deal with it now. This is the last chance. In my opinion, this is the last go around to catch the brass ring of liberty. I think this is the last turn around the carousel. And if we don't do it now, I don't know that there is another day. So that's why this is so imperative.
GrokTV.